Hello guys, welcome back to Madness in Nigeria Living, and I'm your host Gacy. So today I will be doing something a little bit different. Instead of making proper research on my ideation, I decided, let me just say my viewpoint. If you want to really properly learn, you have to fact check me and you have to make your research. I was having a conversation with a Ghanaian friend and he said something that I find very fascinating about Nigerians. He was saying if you study Nigeria from the outside, you see that a lot of Nigerians are like very proud to our ability to adapt, our ability to get used to suffering. I, for one, don't see it as pride. I generally see it as cowardice and we being afraid to look at our reality. But that thought process framed the thought process for this topic. And the topic being our sensitivity to price, our sensitivity to money as a poor country. It's very fascinating. We are very poor, but for some reason, we are not so sensitive to money. And let's talk about it. So, for the sensitivity to price here, every Nigerian that have a particular salary at a particular price target, they have money that they feel is little money. What that little money is differs from a weight bracket to another. But what I find fascinating is how, if you look at the inflation rate in Nigeria, last I checked the inflation rate, it was about 30 something percent. I don't know what it is now. But if you look at the inflation rate in Nigeria, it was always double digit. And you look at places like USA, France, UK, they have single digit inflation that the moment it starts getting closer and closer to double digit, there's a big problem. But for Nigerians, we don't see price in the sense of the little increment in percentage. What do I mean by that? If I used to buy spaghetti for 1,000 naira and the price gets increased to 1,050 naira, the average Nigerian will not even complain about it. They won't think about it. Why? Because with the whole inflation happening currently in USA, you see a lot of USA content creators complaining about the change in price of eggs, the change in price of a lot of groceries. And a lot of those changes, a few percentage, 5-10%. Why are Nigerians not so sensitive to smaller digit increment? The only time Nigerians will start complaining is when the price really goes 100, 200, 1000%. A clear example of that would be spaghetti. Spaghetti just 10 years ago was about 300 naira. As of right now, the price is 1,200. I'm not sure. As of right now, the price is around 1,200. That's more than 300% increment. We're looking at almost a 400% increment in price, and that's when Nigerians generally start complaining. So when the price went from maybe 300 to 310 naira, 320 naira, or 350, the average Nigerian will not complain. But where I find it fascinating is if you are sensitive to price, you go to a supermarket, you go to the market, and they tell you the new price, and you're like, why this price change? They say, look, everybody has it. Why are you complaining about something so small? So now I'm trying to frame, why don't we complain about the smallest of things? Which leads me to the other thought process here. This episode is a bonus episode. I already have another topic I want to talk about, but I've not made sufficient research on it, so I'm not recording that. So I was thinking of looking at my own thought process in real time. And one of those thought processes is something 50 Cent said in an interview. 50 Cent said, if you listen to Dear Mama by Tupac, or you listen to, I can't remember the title of the Eminem song now, but there was a song from Eminem where he was complaining about his mom and insulting his mom, that if you frame the context, both songs says the same struggle, but it is expressed completely differently. And 50 Cent was like, that's the difference between a black person and a white person. What does it mean by that? Eminem's mom and Tupac's mom were both crack fiends. They take a lot of crack cocaine. And because of that, the children that were under them greatly suffered. But Tupac was seeing it more of the systemic issue of how crack cocaine was introduced to the black neighborhood and how she is still a queen, she's still a beautiful black woman, Eminem was completely angry. And this thought process here was something 50 Cent now framed as, because he is white, he by default expect a loving mother. But because Tupac was black, Tupac by default doesn't expect that. If he gets that, cool, but he doesn't expect that. That leads me to the other thought process of this framing of our sensitivity to price, which is something Trevor Noah said on his own podcast, that his mom was talking to him about like white South Africans and black South Africans, that the problem between a poor white South African is they expect the system to just give them wealth. And now that the system is a little bit more fair, it's a little bit more democracy of you, what the people want reflect the reality of the greater majority, they feel greatly at a disadvantage, even though in reality they are not at a disadvantage. Their playing field was just a little bit more equalized. And from that thought process here, I started thinking about it as, do Nigerians generally feel we are supposed to be at a disadvantage? The typical answer to that would be yes, but do Nigerians generally feel that way? I was talking to a friend of mine some days back, and I was talking about with the way light has become a little bit more constant all over Nigeria, he thinks maybe at this point he will vote for Tinubu. He was joking, but that's the sentiment. And the importance of that sentiment when you think about it is the fact that we are not used to, we still don't have 24 hours light, but we are not used to having light as frequently as we now do. And because of that reason, the bare minimum is seen as bigger. Generally speaking, we don't expect much. And that's a bad thing. I feel it's fundamentally a bad thing because, for one, when a system is not working for us, when the system, our government, every other form of our social construct system is not working for us, we blame the individual. We see it as this set of people are lazy. We see it as, yes, laziness plays a role, but we see it as this set of people are lazy in a way that it removes from the fact that if you change some kind of systemic factor, some other things will change. And now I'm linking it back to the sensitivity to price. Because if we are very sensitive to the slightest change of price, we wouldn't see it go 2 times the price before we start complaining. We will force the government with our complaint with, when was the last time market women went for protests? Like I said, you have to fact check me. I'm just talking from my viewpoint. So in this type of case scenario where we only complain when it gets vastly bad, how much bad can it get for us to seek real change? How much bad can Nigeria really get for us to seek real change? Which is ironic, for a very poor country like ours, we are very, very okay with price fluctuating so much. I think it's just something that I wish as a society we were a little bit more sensitive to. You go to buy bread today and the bread increased by 5 naira and you complain about it. I think, but then again, I know that the cost of production also plays a role. I know the macro economy to explain it, but I feel the individual citizens shouldn't by default ignore the macroeconomy and be like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. We should be sensitive to it. We should be pissed by it. Nigerians really need to get more angry. Yes, we really need to get more angry. What does that anger do? That's not to say we're not angry. We are angry people. We don't express the anger because we feel we shouldn't be angry people. One, and when we do express the anger, the brunt of the anger goes to the individual that is close to you, to your family members, your neighbors, as opposed to the system that creates that kind of environment. We should change that. How can we do that? I don't know. This is just my thought. If I had made proper research on this, I would have given a more nuanced way to look at it, but I didn't. So, but next episode, hopefully I'll be done with the research I'm making and I'll have another episode next week. But if I'm still making the research, see you guys in 2 weeks' time. If you like this more playful format, maybe comment about it and tell me if I should do more of this giving my own thought without making research. But till next week or next 2 week, depends. You can like, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell more people about this. Bye.